Welcome to our second week of learning about heat transfer. There are some really exciting things that we're doing this week. Hopefully you watched the video on Monday as an intro that kind of told you some items that you might be needing this week. If you haven't watched the video from Monday, please go do that. Today we're going to talk about insulators and conductors. Last week, we talked about the ways that heat can move. And we talked about how heat can move in 3 different ways. The first way was radiation, and that was heat transfer with no contact. Like when we go outside and we're standing in the sun, we can feel the heat of the sun, but the sun is not actually touching us. Second way that we talked about was heat transfer from within air or within water. Within a boiling pot of water, how the warm water will rise and the cold water will fall, and that was convection. We also talked about hot air balloons, how the hot air will rise to the top of the balloon and the cold air will drop, and that's what keeps the balloon up. Third way that heat can move is by conduction, and that is by touch. That is when 2 objects are touching and the heat from one transfers to the other object, like in this picture, the pot on the stove. Now that we've done a quick review of the ways that heat can be transferred, let's go ahead and talk about insulators and conductors. Insulators and conductors are helpers or preventers of heat transfer. In this picture, we have an example of both. Let's start with conductors. A conductor of heat is a material that allows heat to pass through very easily. I don't know about you, but that word conductors kind of makes me think of a train conductor. And a train conductor is the person who sits at the front of the train and conducts and allows the train to move or gets the train moving. So we can think about that with heat conduction too, and a heat conductor gets heat moving or allows it to move. A great example of this is in this picture right here, and this is a pot on a stove, obviously. You can see that the stove is hot and there is food inside the pot. Did not get to coloring that. But the pot is made of metal, and metal is a really great conductor of heat, or a thermal conductor. If it wasn't, it is not something we'd use to cook our food in because it wouldn't get the food hot, which is why all of our pans or pots are some type of metal. I'm gonna go ahead and label it. And you'll notice that there is another metal item in this picture, and that is the spoon. Now, not every spoon we use to cook is made of metal, but this spoon is made of 2 different materials. The top is wood, and the bottom part is metal. So that bottom part of the metal spoon is actually going to be a really good conductor of heat. It's not super helpful in the kitchen to have a spoon that is a good conductor because you have to pick up the spoon. So if it's a good conductor of heat, when you touch the spoon, it's going to be very hot, which is why there is wood on the other end of the spoon, the part where we would probably touch to stir our food, because wood is not good at letting heat pass through. That's what we call an insulator. Insulator prevents heat from moving through an object, and that's why a lot of our spoons are wooden or plastic, because they are not great conductors of heat. They're good insulators. I have too many times stirred hot food with a metal spoon and left it there, just like this one is right here touching the pot. I left my spoon there. When I went to pick it up, my hand obviously was very much in pain because it's a good conductor. It was letting heat pass through, and it passed through the whole spoon, so that when I picked it up, I could feel it. Now, there's another great insulator in this picture, and we use it a lot in the kitchen, and it is this oven mitt. This oven mitt is a great insulator, and it is a very safe way to pick up food that is in a conductive material because it prevents the heat from getting to our hand. And we need to make sure that we're safe and we're not getting burnt every time we're cooking. Tomorrow, we are going to start talking about the project that you're going to do on Friday and the project that I referred to in the video on Monday. And you're going to need to find some insulators or conductors to make the project. So I wanted to talk about some examples that you might have at your house. So all of these items are going to be good insulators, meaning they don't let heat pass through. Things like wood, fabric, plastic, paper. So keep that in mind and start thinking about the things that you have in your household or you've started gathering since Monday that might be good insulators. And then we have, like I said, metal is a really great conductor, but it's not the only conductor. And you're probably thinking,
but Miss News, I don't have any of those items.
And to that I would say, but science.
Have you ever been outside with a black t-shirt on? Do you remember what it feels like to have the black t-shirt on and stand in the sun?
Even though fabric is not a great conductor of heat, black fabric attracts heat. Or black anything really attracts heat, because if you've gone outside with a black t-shirt on and you've stood there for a while, your t-shirt gets hot. Now, it's not necessarily letting the heat pass through to your body very easily, but it is attracting the sun because of its color. Now, you also have aluminum foil. It's a great tool if you don't have metal, which most of us don't. Although you might have some pots and pans, aluminum foil is a great tool to use as a conductor. Clear plastic wrap may or may not also be very helpful in our project on Friday. So, if you haven't watched the intro video from Monday, I want you to start thinking about the materials here in this list that you might have. And tomorrow I'm going to tell you more about our secret little project that we're going to be doing. But today there are a couple extra videos that you can watch. These two videos are experiments with conductors and insulators, and they're really cool to watch. Also, your submission for science today is going to be matching insulators and conductors. Remember, insulators prevent heat from traveling. Conductors, like a train conductor, allow heat to move more easily.